Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of What's the Tea with Gen X, Y, and Z. We are three generations, three perspectives, but one cup of truth. So get ready for a refreshing take on hot button topics because we're going to be brewing up a steaming hot take on today's most pressing issues, where we're going to dish on everything from social justice to pop culture with humor, honesty, and maybe even a little healthy debate. We're going to sip the tea, spill the honest truth, and then find common ground across the generation gap. This show is informative, it's insightful, and it is guaranteed to stir the pot. So, if you guys don't know, I would like to introduce you to the exhilarating, extraordinary, wonderful Xer at the table, Dr. Melissa.
Yes, yes.
And what's up, y'all? I am Amber, holding it down for us millennials.
And my name is Zion, as always, keeping it real for Generation Z.
All right, all right, all right. So, you guys, we're so excited to be back at the table.
Yes.
Excited for this season to start dishing with you.
Yes.
And today, you guys know over the past seasons, we've talked a lot about like parental stuff, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Everything from, we've shown talked about the videos with the dad, with the belt from the
That
70s.
was wild and hilarious.
Right. And so today, though, we're going to talk about the whole parental jam from a different perspective, right?
Mhm.
So we're going to lean into how do you transition as a parent when your children are no longer children,
Ooh.
right? And we're going to talk about that perspective, I would suppose, at this table from the parental lens
You got to tread lightly. What
and
you say?
possibly from the child perspective.
A lot of tea to spill, y'all. A lot of tea to spill.
But that also means you got to tread lightly.
Oh,
Because
I
she's
know.
going to be cutting her eyeball. Like,
I'm
you better not say nothing crazy.
sipping in now. All right, I got a whole show to do it.
All right, so guys, what do you think about this? And I'll be honest, I'll come clean and start this off by saying that this is a touch point for me right now, right? In a few weeks, I have the honor of being let go
Yes.
and fired from a job that I have held for the last 34 years.
Yes.
And that is as full-time mom.
Appreciate your contributions.
Ooh.
And see, and you guys know, that was really, I'm talking from a real perspective here.
Yeah.
So I have, of course, 4 children, ranging in ages from 33 to 17. And in this next 2 weeks, my third son, my third child here at the table will be getting married.
Yes.
And my baby son will be graduating from high school and heading off to college. So you guys, for the first time since I was like 21 years old, I'm going to wake up in a home where there are absolutely no children in the next room.
Mhm.
It's a quiet house. Quiet.
It's easier for you
A
to
clean
say.
house, as a matter of fact.
No, it's clean too.
But y'all, so that really got us to thinking, how do you navigate that, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are y'all's thoughts about that? Because I have a plenty.
That hit different. I almost shed a tear, honestly. It's like, how do you do life? Well, I ain't gonna necessarily life, but like you have a consistent routine,
Yeah.
you know? And for me, I can say my consistent routine is waking up, I'll have a little bit of peace, or a little bit of me time at least.
Mm-hmm.
And then, wake up my girls, we get dressed, had a car ride, drop them off. You know what I'm saying? I get to work, but everything of my day is with my girls. So the thought of knowing they do have to get older and, get married, have husbands and things of that sort, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to be like, well, I know I'm going to have more children, but at some point, you can't just have that thought that you could just keep reproducing.
Some people do.
I mean, listen, it's going to get to a point where it's just going to be like, all right, girl, you can't do it no more.
The eggs are done. Like,
yeah.
Okay, we're done. Yeah.
Like
yeah.
human nature going to run its course. You know what I'm saying? So like, I honestly, like, this is a great topic because, I mean, it will, I guess, prepare me in a sense. But like currently, like right now, I don't know what I would do. But speaking from a child with, my parents, when I did get into relationships, like I had realized that I had to have uncomfortable conversations with them. You know, especially with my dad, because like I'm a daddy's girl. You know, we might bump heads, but that's my dog. And he's like, you better call me for everything. And I'm just like, Dad, I now have a partner. I mean, he's not my husband, but you're supposed to now lean to your partner to do certain things. So, you know, like, look, Daddy, if I need you and it's something he might not know, guess what? You my first call. Not neglecting you, but like you just gotta slide over a little bit and understand that this your daughter and your grandchildren are okay. So I can see it from both perspectives, but I don't think I'm ready for the mommy perspective. You know what I'm saying? I ain't ready for that.
No. And so you dived into the other perspective, the other lens of it as well, which is something we really need to touch on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What's your perspective?
So
with your children.
Unfortunately, everybody, I don't have a parental perspective, and quite frankly, I don't think you want a parental perspective. Might be misinforming you. Side note, real quick, that was scary, huh? Aging your girls like that. That thought, huh? Ooh, what? Marry, graduate.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
That was a scary thought. I saw your face, saw your eyes.
Right. That's why I said I almost want to cry because I'm sitting here like, oh, my babies. Like, you know, it doesn't matter how old children get. Like, my babies can be 30 and I'm still going to say, you still my baby. I mean, that's how my parents are too. I'm almost 30 and they like, you're still my baby. And I'm like, well, no, I'm grown. How make you feel? Oh, yeah. I do say that. And I know my kids going to tell me that too. But I know you digging me into a hole. I'm going to shut up.
But if you talk from the perspective of the child, how does it differ with relationships on the parental perspective from being a child? Mom has one role. And then as you grow into a man, that changes a little bit.
Absolutely.
For you, maybe not for the mom. The mom might still be struggling with the change, but I digress. How does that feel for you?
No, it's definitely a tough transition process. It's kind of what you alluded to. When you grow up, you rely on parental advice all the time. Definitely. And when you take that advice, you commit to that advice. You don't. There's not a strong sense of independency when you're growing up. And so when you, I mean, it's not
to a certain degree.
I mean, you get your rebellion phase when you get in high school and stuff, but you ain't paying no bills. You ain't you still under that roof, and you know, so it's not a high level of independency. You know, at least in my case, it wasn't. So for good reason. So
ooh, shade.
No. That that won't shade.
No, I won't take it as shade. I got it.
Let me tread lightly.
Yes,
because misinterpretation does exist. We got an episode about communication. I digress. So it's a tough transition process for sure because like you also suggested, like you have a partner. For those who do have a partner, and there's an expectation when you have needs, when you have concerns that you want to address, your partner is going to be the first person that you bring those concerns to, those issues to. And a lot of times that alters that original dynamic with your parents. And so that can be a tough transition for you to now grow that trust in your partner.
Yes.
And I could imagine that's a tough process for your parent to, realize that, I might be the second person.
Me. Let me answer.
Go ahead, answer.
Oh, is that a tough process for the parent? Yes. Because here's the thing, and Amber is talking about it, and even future casting was about to bring her to tears. So for those of you out there that, like, this is lived experience, like when I said a job for 34 years, what I am saying is there's nothing in my life that I have done more consistently than being a mom. Right? It's all I've known. And here's the thing, when you are a parent, and you said this in a very eloquent way, everything revolves around those children. Listen, where I worked was really stemming from where do I need to live, what income do I need to earn for my children. Where I live, the house I would buy, I have seen some amazing houses, but I'm like, oh, the school district. No, I can't. So you make all of these decisions for your kids. And the thing about it is, and no shade to children, but it's like you give up your life, you give up everything that you are for this job, to steward this life, right? That's true. And listen, that's what you're supposed to do. It's a job you're supposed to work yourself out of. If you do it right. You don't want the 50-year-old son, in the basement. Okay.
Nothing wrong with retirement. No. Nothing wrong with retirement. Great benefits.
But the truth of the matter is, the way the Band-Aid is ripped off, y'all.
Yeah.
Let me just take a moment. It like
Go ahead, bend it out.
Yeah,
Let
I'm gonna get it out because
Get it out,
and
please.
they'll quickly tell you, I just need you to understand I'm grown now. And I make my own
Ooh.
decisions. And it's like,
Ooh.
well, wait a minute, just last week, like you was my baby.
Yeah.
And now today you talking about you all grown and all of that.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's for me, the journey of as a parent,
Yeah.
it's bittersweet
Yeah.
when you raise your kids and they start finding their way.
Yeah.
Not because necessarily you don't trust their
Good
ability
judgment,
to live their lives.
Yeah.
I
Right,
do.
yeah.
But it's sort of that thing of, you know, I was talking to my baby son and I said, literally, in a very short period of time, I won't know what time you went to sleep.
Yep.
I won't know that you're in the house.
Yep.
I won't know when you wake up. Like, don't get me wrong. You know, I've got 3 sons and 1 daughter. They could be in the house with me and never even talk to me. Amen.
Right.
Let's just be clear that I have to text them, hey, can you come out of the room? So it's not like there's a lot of human interaction. But for me, it's just the knowledge
Of knowing.
Absolutely.
of knowing. I can hear them breathing. I can hear them screaming at somebody on the game.
Absolutely.
And so that,
And it hits different
changes.
as a mother
Yeah.
anyway. That's why, you know, no shades,
Let's go-
even
so
when you do
yeah, go ahead.
even when you do become a father, I don't think you're gonna understand the nature of a mother.
I'm sure.
Like
I'm
it
sure.
really does hit different. Like knowing everything about my child, and when I don't know anything about my child,
Yeah.
you gonna make me feel some kind of way because I'm like, now what grounds do you have to think you know more about my child that I didn't carry for 9 months
I'm sure.
than I know? And I would take that up with their father too,
Right.
because hey, you ain't carried this baby, I did. So I know the ins, the outs, the everything.
but what about the dads, though? So I'm going to speak out. Hey, shout out my brothers. I got y'all.
I said no shade.
I got you. I got you.
I said no
But
shade.
there are some dads that they are the ones that hold it down.
That is true. They are
Absolutely.
intentional,
You know.
but that still don't
Absolutely.
take away the fact that we buried them.
But here's what I'll say. Just because you bear a baby don't make
Don't
you
make your mama.
Yeah, go
Come on.
ahead and stay
Well,
there.
maybe I'm saying
I was a social worker for many years.
Go ahead and stay
Maybe
there.
that
You
is
gotta
true.
Protect the cub now.
That is true. I'm just gonna say from my perspective,
Yeah.
okay?
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
I hone in on everything when it comes to my kids. I will drop. I could be in the middle of doing something and something is wrong with my child or my other child, even
Yeah.
both of them. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm dropping what I'm doing
Yeah.
and I'm going to them. It's
Mhm.
nothing that I can say that is more important than them. Like
Yeah.
you literally live, breathe, and sleep being a
Absolutely.
mom. Now, I'm not saying that's the most healthy to do either because you can forget your own self
Yeah.
and
that-
you don't know what your identity is. And I know I've recently just went through this phase where I really did not know my identity beyond my children, beyond being a girlfriend, beyond being a daughter, beyond
Yeah.
being a sister,
Yeah.
you know, beyond working. So I had to go into a space where I'm like, okay, who is Amber?
Yeah. No,
What does-
But imagine doing that. Imagine you having that identity, and that's exactly what's been on my heart.
Mhm.
And they're 4 and 2.
Right.
So you've been at this for 4 years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So when I tell you that losing your identity and becoming the roles, whether
Yeah.
it's mom, dad,
Yeah.
even daughter, sometimes
Yeah.
CEO,
Yeah.
like whatever, all of the roles that we have in our lives, it is very easy to become so enmeshed
Right.
Absolutely.
that you only see yourself through that lens.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. To expand on that a little bit as a child, you know, in the same sense, it's comparable just because, for example, a child, you identify yourself as being a child, as being someone's child, and you know, my purpose was really making sure I could be that good son to my parents. And
Ooh.
so now that identity is kind of changing a little bit because at the same time, I still want to be an amazing son, of course, and honor my parents. But at the same time, I have to save space for now becoming a leader
Yeah,
and becoming a husband. That has to be the top priority.
absolutely.
So it's also it's a transition identity for sure.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
not to the degree I think as a parent, but I think even as a child,
It's a
just
shift.
being that independent person, being
Yeah.
that leader,
Yeah.
relying on being self-sufficient.
Well, here's
Yeah.
the thing: transitions are. It doesn't matter who it is.
Right.
Transitions are difficult and it can be uncomfortable regardless.
Right.
So listen, you guys, we're going to go ahead and take a commercial break, but when we come back, I want to talk about when this gets messy. Like we've all talked about this in a very sanitized way and
Yeah, we
identity.
have.
A lot of tea.
But let's talk about how this thing can get real messy. Okay?
Real quick.
Refresh your tea. We'll see you back in just a moment.
Catch the wave of success with Standing on Business with Dr. Melissa. Unlock your purpose, align it with your entrepreneurial spirit, and witness your business thrive. This isn't just about authenticity, it's about building a foundation so solid, your business becomes synonymous with profitability. Tune in as we delve into marketing strategies that work and create an empire that stands on business. Because when purpose meets strategy, success is inevitable. Standing on Business with Dr. Melissa, where authenticity meets profitability.
So welcome back to What's the Tea with Gen X, Y, and Z. Before our commercial break, we were talking about just the change in parental roles, right? And of course, I'm talking about it from the perspective of a future empty nester. But we just sort of talked about how those parental roles change and how those transitions can be. And I'm going to tell you, we were very good before the break. We were very noble when we talked about identity and how we love.
With our terminology for sure.
Yes. But y'all, what about when this thing gets messy?
Because it can get messy.
Real
it can
fast.
get messy. And I'm going to go ahead, since Zion said that he just chimed in with way too much bravado. Do tell, Zion, how can it get messy?
Well, unfortunately, y'all, I'm saying unfortunately a lot. Sorry. I can't rely on a lot of personal experience, but I could only imagine how it gets messy. Because before we suggested with dynamics, and especially when someone has a partner, and so when you have a parent who is very adamant because they've been secured in their identity for a long time. They're very adamant on suggesting or recommending what their child should do in adulthood, being married. And a lot of times, if that recommendation, see how I'm being very conservative, doesn't coincide with their partner's, advice or their desire, how they want to do things, a lot of times I'm sure it can get messy because there's a conflict of interest in a sense. So
you sound like you're talking from lived experience.
I'm not. But
it's hypothetical.
There's a wise man goes by the name by Mr. Patrick who said borrowed sense, and a lot of times you can rely on borrowed sense. So that's all I'm doing right now, borrowed sense.
So guys, we always promise you that we're going to keep it all the way 100. And when he was saying recommendations, I wouldn't call them recommendations. I would call them strong suggestions that I typically have out
very
of
strong,
immense wisdom.
Yes.
Right.
That's how it's presented.
That's exactly how I preface it.
Yeah, this is when I
listen. So here's the thing: when I talk about it getting messy, and I'm gonna listen, y'all. I'm gonna own my stuff. It's difficult when you've been in a role where your job is to instruct your children, to guide them, to help them navigate through life, right? And even when you get them to that point where they can be trusted to do that, it's hard.
Yeah.
Like, I got an opinion about everything. It doesn't matter what they come to me with. I'm like, well, actually, and so they're at the age now where they're like, stop, no, like I was just informing you.
Yeah.
Like, you're chiming in. And so when I said messy, I'm speaking from my own personal perspective. It's been, I feel like there hasn't been a clean way to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know of a cute, clean way to let go of something that you've been holding on to for their entire lives.
I don't think it is.
I don't. And so I'm fumbling around with it. And that was the thing with the show. And I'm going to invite you to come into our Facebook community to hash this out some more, because we've been talking about it in that community. I know I'm not the only one that's struggling with this, right? It's this thing of how much is too much. Like, just because they grow up, they're still your child. They still need you.
Absolutely.
But when is it too much? And how do you strike the balance between, my sons call it, don't son me. It's my oldest son, he's like, Mom, you sonning me. And I'm like, well, yeah.
How else? I don't get it.
Yeah,
I was about to say that.
But I get it. So that's when I said it can be messy. When we don't know how to let go when we need
Absolutely.
to
And
let
to
go.
be fair, before you start, Amber, I apologize.
Good. Woo, that was a clean.
Because you were, I know you was about to go on a tangent. So I was
No,
trying to,
I actually wasn't.
okay. No,
Dang.
I was just, to be fair, to give you some credit. I mean, if someone's on fries for 20 years and then they told the next day to go mop the floors, they might find themselves next to that fry basket unconsciously. So that's just the analogy I wanted to give you.
We using French fries in the mop.
Amen.
Coming to America.
Coming to America.
Oh, we using
Amen.
McDowell's. Gotcha.
Yeah, McDowell's.
All right.
Don't want to get copyrighted. All right.
Only you. Okay, Lord have mercy.
All right, go ahead. My bad.
Hopefully I ain't lose my train of thought. You know, I do that quite often. Jeez. But so you hit a lot of different points, and it actually made me think, because I'm a only child.
Mm.
So my mom is very tethered to me.
Mm-hmm.
It was just always us for the longest.
Mm.
So when I did, grow older and I, got into a relationship, it was definitely hard for her to strike her balance to figure out where she even fits.
Yep.
Without even, she probably felt that she was getting replaced. And I don't think there's no definite way to do it. I mean, it's not like it's a book written on this, just like it's not a book written on parenting. Like, you got to figure it out. But I honestly think the best way to maybe try to figure it out, because y'all ultimately are figuring it out together, because we're still figuring it out. We're not perfect. It's times where I hurt her feelings, she hurt mine, and then we bridge together and we talk about it.
Yeah.
I think the biggest key thing is communication.
Yes.
Because again, if you don't communicate, how do you know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
You can't go off of body language. You can't go off of what you think, assumptions. Because guess what? We create some good daggone stories in our head. I know I'm a great author, okay?
Right.
And I'm the one that's gonna stick to my story, and I'm going, it's believable because it sounds good.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's not a good authentic relationship.
Right.
You both have to be on the same page, especially when it's your parents, because you don't want them to feel like, hey, I don't need you anymore. I'm gonna always need my mama. I'm gonna always need my dad.
Right.
It's just a different role that you're playing. It's not saying, hey, you're no longer required. No, you're still required, because, hey, I don't know everything. It's still some wisdom that you can give me, in this new role that I'm embarking, whether it's being married, a mother, just being an adult, because it's different times. So, that's my take. Mothers, y'all doing a great job. Dads, y'all doing an amazing job.
Yes.
Dr. M, amazing mother, and me, mom. You know what I'm saying? It's just a transition that is going to be uncomfortable, but guess what? You got it.
Change is not comfortable.
No change is comfortable.
Never. And so one of the things that you said, Amber, that really resonated with me, and I think it's the key, and it's really about communication. And it's really about then allowing yourself. It's all about empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Putting yourself in another person's shoes,
It
right?
Yes.
What I had to be reminded of even this week is that I did my job,
Mm-hmm.
right? And part of my job was to help steward these 4 lives so that they were able and capable of going out into the world and making a mark.
Absolutely.
And I'm blessed that I raised 4 truly wonderful human beings, just good human beings, right? Not just my kids, they're good human beings.
Yeah.
But I'll speak to us as Xers, and if you find yourself in this position, we can almost sabotage the good work that we've done if we do not allow them the opportunity to fly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Their whole lives, I've been teaching them to fly, to take flight, to walk through doors, to take risks, to take chances, all of that. And then I found myself in some instances when they were trying to take risks or chances. I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
That protective nature.
Not yet. Well, no. And I think, and so, I stood corrected. These last couple of weeks have been challenging for me, because I understand that my identity, my roles, a lot of what I do during my day, how I think, the decisions I make have been filtered through being a full-time mom.
Yeah.
And that's about to end. I said to my sons, I said, oh my God, I'm about to be fired from this job after 34 years.
Mm-hmm.
And this one said, well, not fired. You're just being reduced from full-time to part-time.
Your hours are being reduced.
Yeah.
Hours
Yeah.
are being
It happens. It happens. It's normal.
That's actually I love that.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and I think as a child too,
Mhm.
I love how you're speaking to the Xers, but I think we
Mhm.
have a duty as well as
Yeah.
being children
Yep.
to give our parents grace
Yep.
because it is uncomfortable. You have to understand that we're still their babies, and
Yeah.
you know, parents, children that are parents, you know, think about it when your kids get this age. Like, how
Yeah.
would you want them to treat you? So you really do have to give your parents grace, and you know, this time, like,
Yeah.
they don't want to get fired.
Yeah.
They
No,
want to always be there. They want to. They
Exactly.
want to live in your skin,
Exactly.
and you got to
Exactly.
be okay with that. It is
I don't
just.
know about living your skin, but yeah, you got to be okay with a level
I
of
mean,
relationship.
listen.
Yeah.
My mom, I think sometimes want to live in my skin, and I love that for her. But
You comfortable with that?
it's different. You got siblings, Zach. It's different. It's just me.
Yeah.
So when my mom get old, and I don't want to say crunchy, but you know what I'm saying?
Crunchy? Ma'am, you have been fired. Ma'am.
when she get old and she gonna fuss me out for this. I love you, mama. But you know, when she gets older in age, it all relies on Amber. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's why I said she wanted to be maybe in my skin sometimes.
Absolutely.
She gonna chew me out. I'm
Zion,
sorry,
please
Mom.
go, because right now I'm feeling very crunchy myself, and I'm
sorry.
Like-
No, okay.
Yes.
I'm fine.
Just to kind of expand on everything, I think y'all hit it on the mark. Communication is key. In every relationship, I think that's the one thing that can prevent all barriers is communication. I did want to add another thing as well, just specifically into a parent and child relationship, just a level of respect. You know, specifically a level of respect for each other's positions as a child and as a parent, but then also, as you said, as adults.
Yes.
You know, so as adults, we have to be able to respect each other's decisions.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we should maintain a level of relationship because it's important for parents to be able to give advice.
Absolutely.
So sometimes when I want to just, keep my parent involved in what's going on in my life and they give me advice, I'm going to, listen, even though I didn't necessarily ask for it.
Yeah.
But, it's important for them.
Yeah.
Just like it's important for us, even though we're going on to this new adventure of life, being self-sufficient, having your own partner, new priorities.
Yeah.
It's important to still, get counsel from, your parents.
That wisdom.
Important.
That's how you get it.
Borrowed sense.
Yeah,
So let me round this out this way. And I'm going to round it out by talking to all of the generations, because I'm the old chick at the table and I can do that. Right?
Seniority.
Now, what I would say to the Y and Zers, if you find yourself in this conversation being the child, right? So you've gone out on and you've moved on with your life and you're doing all of that. You have your parent there. Here's what I'm going to say to you. It is against the rules. It's on page 35.
Uh-oh.
For you to say, I'm grown, make my own decision, and then say, Mommy,
I need you.
I need you. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, like, so you have to pick your point. I have to.
I knew it was
I'm
coming.
just saying, your parent is always going to be there, but you can't vilify them for chiming in when you don't want it. But then when you do want it, please help me.
Picking and choosing.
You have to. So you have to. If you're going to open that door because you need, their advice about something, understand that if that door is open, they're probably going to insert themselves. Now, let me talk to my exes. Hey, y'all, we can go too far. I'm going to be honest with you. Just because they need you sometimes, and just because they ask for your perspective about one thing, does not mean that the floodgates should be open and now you're commentating on everything in their life. And if you do and they don't want to do it, you have to be okay with saying, I respect your decision. Here's what I want you to think about, and it's the phrase that was dropped to me in my time of meditation and prayer on how to navigate. It was understanding that you're moving from mothering to mentoring.
Ooh.
You're still valuable.
Yeah.
I'm still valuable. I'm still needed.
Absolutely.
My worth and value did not change.
Yeah.
And actually, it's a gift because now I actually get to wake up in a clean house. Let me just make it all the way personal.
Here we go. Thought we escaped.
Toilet paper roll will not be empty.
Ooh.
That will not happen.
Come through.
The knives and forks and spoons that sometimes just disappear. Listen, y'all, I buy silverware every month. Nobody knows what happens to the forks. I guess they all get together and be like, hey, y'all tired? Like, yo,
let's just throw them away.
Let's check. Right? They just leave it on their own. So I am thinking about there are some blessings. I get to travel.
Yeah.
I get to I get to re-identify myself.
Absolutely.
Like I'm not really being fired.
Nope.
No.
I'm being promoted
Yes, ma'am,
to
you are.
something different.
Yeah.
And so while it's difficult, you
Yes.
guys, learn to take the turns.
Yeah.
Like in life, when they come, it's much harder when you resist the turns.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you learn, people that ride a motorcycle, they know you lean into the turns,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
lean into it. It's not all the way
Yeah.
comfortable,
Right.
Yeah.
but in anything in life, whether it's
No.
parenting, marriage, parenthood,
Change.
new change, learn to lean into it
Mhm.
and
Yes.
to glean the blessing that's coming from it,
Yeah.
and to understand that most of the time when we are willing to pivot, we're really going to a new level.
Yes.
And the only way to go to a new level is to be willing to let go
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
of the last level.
Mother and
Yeah.
mentor.
In
I
order
love
for something-
that.
Okay,
I
okay.
love that.
All right.
Something must die to change.
You got to. Hey, listen, every decision is the birth of something new and the death of something old.
That part.
Think about that, because that's deep. And I know y'all like, think about it.
That's
Any
a mic
decision
drop
you
one
make-
right there.
It's
Yes.
a bar.
Right?
Bar.
Okay, so guys, listen. Let's keep this conversation brewing. Remember, we got to ask questions. We got to listen to understand. And then we have to acknowledge the unique challenges that each generation faces. And above all, we've got to look for that common ground.
Yes.
Because trust me, it's there. So until next time, keep sipping and keep talking.
Mm-hmm.
Tune in next week for another thought-provoking and entertaining conversation that bridges the generational gap, one cup at a time. See you next week.